Welcome to this explainer. Okay, picture this. You're staring at a blank screen, literally paralyzed by the sheer mountain of prior research you have to wade through before you can even start your own project. If you've been there, you know exactly how daunting this process feels. It's super overwhelming to realize just how much work has already been done in your field. But today, we're going to take that massive, tedious academic chore and completely transform it into an epic quest of discovery. You're in exactly the right place to finally conquer that overwhelm.
I absolutely love this opening quote. Step into the library. Open up the screen. Before you start your research, you must check the scene. It kind of perfectly sets the stage for our journey today. It's a really critical reminder that before we can ever hope to speak with true authority on a subject, we have to first stop and listen to the whispers of past experts. You're building a foundation, and checking that scene, that is step one.
Section 1. The Golden Roadmap. We're mapping out the secrets the experts already know.
Think of this initial phase as, gathering your adventuring gear before a massive trek. A literature review isn't just some annoying bureaucratic hurdle you have to jump over to appease a professor or a peer reviewer. No, it is the absolute rock-solid foundation you lay down before you can even think about beginning your actual research. It's quite literally a golden roadmap. Doing this upfront work saves you incredible amounts of time down the line. When researchers skip this, they usually end up lost in a clutter of contradictory papers, totally unsure of what is actually relevant. The review process clears away all that grime and confusion of a cluttered academic landscape. By organizing what we already know, it highlights exactly where the gaps in our current knowledge actually appear. Without this map, your direction just isn't clear. You're wandering in the dark, risking dead ends. But with it in hand, you can navigate straight toward the uncharted territories of your field, completely confident that you're exploring genuinely new ground.
Moving on to Section 2, Finding the Missing Piece. This is all about why we actually embark on this academic quest in the first place.
So you might be asking yourself, why do we actually do this? Why spend hours upon hours reading what others have already done? Well, the answer is entirely about finding that one critical missing piece in the giant puzzle of human knowledge. Without a literature review, your direction isn't clear, and you run this massive risk of accidentally replicating work that someone else has already published. You just end up spinning your wheels in isolation. But with a literature review, that entire dynamic shifts. Doing this work allows you to argue with genuine authority. It sharpens your analytical skills as you evaluate complex methodologies. And most importantly, it links your little study to the world's academic sun. Instead of being a tiny, isolated candle flickering in the dark, your research connects to the massive, glowing body of established literature. You draw energy from the greats who came before you, allowing your own discoveries to shine brightly and be seen by the rest of the academic world.
Section 3, 6 Paths of Review. It's time to choose your academic adventure class.
Now that we know why we need our map, we have to choose exactly how we're going to draw it. Depending on the evidence you have and what you ultimately want to achieve, there are 6 distinct paths you can take. It's almost exactly like picking a character class in a role-playing game. You need the right toolset for your specific mission. Let's start with the narrative review. Think of this as our grand storyteller class. This path takes complex, often highly varied evidence and weaves it all together to tell a grand thematic tale. It's not just about listing facts, it's providing a comprehensive narrative about how a particular concept has evolved over time. For example, if you were researching the history of remote work culture, a narrative review would let you connect sociological studies, technological milestones, and economic shifts into one cohesive, really engaging story. It gives your audience a broad, highly readable overview of the landscape without getting totally bogged down in rigid statistical criteria.
Now, if the narrative review is our storyteller, the systematic review is definitely the rigorous, highly structured analyzer of our group. If you choose this path, you're looking at data on a massive scale, and you have to use very strict predefined models. You literally decide your exact inclusion and exclusion criteria before you even begin reading. Why is this necessary? Well, because in fields like medicine or public policy, you need absolute objectivity. You can't just cherry-pick studies that support your hypothesis. You have to evaluate every single piece of evidence that meets your rigorous standards. This ensures that your findings are entirely reproducible and completely free from your own personal biases, resulting in a rock-solid, definitive answer to a very specific research question.
Then we've got the scoping review. You can think of this one as our wide lens scout. When your goal is to simply map the territory, keeping your view wide and very broad, this is your absolute go-to method. You'd choose a scoping review when a research topic is incredibly new, or when you aren't even really sure what kind of data exists out there yet. Before you can ask a highly specific, targeted question, like you would in a systematic review, you first need to know the sheer size and scope of the landscape. It really helps researchers identify overarching concepts, theories, and gaps across a huge body of literature. It acts as a crucial reconnaissance mission before you ever decide where to dive deep.
Okay, for the ultimate number cruncher class, the meta-analysis steps in. This path wields immense statistical power. Honestly, this review style literally counts the numbers like a god. Instead of just reading and comparing the conclusions of different papers, a meta-analysis takes the actual quantitative data from multiple independent studies and mathematically combines them. And what does this achieve? It creates an overarching statistical truth that is way more powerful than any single study could be on its own. Say 50 different small studies have slightly different findings on a new educational technique. The meta-analysis crunches all that raw data together to give you one definitive, highly precise mathematical conclusion. But what if your goal as an academic explorer is to debate and persuade? Well, then the argumentative review is totally your path. Instead of neutrally summarizing the landscape or crunching raw numbers, this route actively pushes a specific, targeted point of view. You use the existing literature to fiercely back up a central claim or to actively challenge a widely held assumption in your field. If everyone assumes a certain economic policy works a specific way, an argumentative review gathers all the counter-evidence to prove that the traditional map is actually wrong. You're aggressively charting a controversial new path and using the weight of previous literature as your armor and your sword to win the debate.
And finally, we have the integrative review, which acts as the academic alchemist. This review type takes incredibly diverse methodologies, maybe mixing quantitative numerical data with qualitative interview transcripts, and seamlessly blends those old ideas into entirely new theoretical frameworks. Deep synthesis is totally the name of the game here. You aren't just summarizing what others have said. You're extracting the core truths from wildly different disciplines and merging them to create a totally fresh perspective. It's a lot like taking the maps from 5 completely different continents and figuring out how they all fit together to form a brand new globe. It really is the ultimate act of academic creation.
Pulling all these paths together like this lets you clearly see the landscape at a quick glance. By comparing the review type against its core function, you can see how each unique method serves a totally different strategic purpose for your research. Let me tell you, choosing the wrong tool for the wrong function can completely derail your quest. If you try to use a narrative review when your field demands the mathematical precision of a meta-analysis, your conclusions will just be rejected. Or, if you try to do a systematic review on a topic that barely has any published research yet, you're going to hit a dead end, because you really should have used a broad scoping review. Knowing exactly whether you need to tell a thematic tale, count numbers, or blend old into new ensures that you deploy the correct, purpose-built tool for your specific mission. Section 4. Synthesize and step forward. This is about completing the quest and actually starting your research.
All right, you've mapped the territory, you've chosen your specific path, and now it's time to complete the quest and actually launch your original research. Execution really just comes down to 3 essential steps. Step 1, cite your sources properly. You absolutely must give credit where it's due to the experts who came before you, making sure your academic integrity is bulletproof. Step 2, synthesize the text. Now this is where so many researchers stumble. You can't just list what others said like you're reading from a phone book. You have to weave those different voices together, highlighting their agreements and their debates to show the bigger picture of the landscape. And step 3, know exactly what your research should do next. This right here is the ultimate payoff. Because you've rigorously mapped the known world, you can point directly to the blank space on the map. You know exactly what questions haven't been answered yet, which means you can transition perfectly from exploring what the experts already know to confidently charting your very own, highly original course.
I want to leave you with this final thought today. The map is drawn and the gaps are clear. You've successfully gathered the knowledge of the experts, you possess the golden roadmap, and the academic sun is officially lighting your way. So now that you're armed with all of this incredible preparation, what incredible discoveries will your research reveal to the world?